Balancing equations. In today's class, we discuss how to balance a chemical equation. First of all, is it necessary to balance a chemical equation? Because whatever reactants are there, they are reacting and give rise to a product. That chemical reaction only we are representing with the help of symbols, which we called it as a chemical equation. The chemical equation has to be balanced. If it is not balanced, we call the chemical equation as skeletal equation. It is known as skeletal equation. First of all, why should we balance a chemical equation? What is the necessity of balancing a chemical equation? According to the law of conservation of atoms, atoms never be created nor be destroyed. They can be changed from one form to another during a chemical reaction. So that's why always the number of atoms in the reactant side must be equal to the number of atoms in the product side. For example, in a chemical reaction, if sodium and oxygen were reacting, definitely in the product side also you should have sodium and oxygen only. It's not like when the sodium and oxygen react, you don't get magnesium and hydrogen. Whatever elements are participating in a chemical reaction, the same elements should be formed during the product side also, towards the product side also. The number of atoms which are participating in a chemical reaction should be always equal to number of atoms which are formed during a chemical reaction. That's why it's important to balance a chemical equation every time. There were many steps in balancing chemical equation. Let's discuss that balancing equation in detail in today's class. We'll start with a simple equation that hydrogen was reacting with oxygen to give rise to water. So we know that hydrogen will be present as H2. The symbol for hydrogen is H. While writing in chemical reaction, because it's a diatomic molecule, we'll take H2. And oxygen also a diatomic molecule, we'll take it as O2. Hydrogen was reacting with oxygen to give rise to water. This is an example of a chemical reaction. So why should we say that it's a chemical reaction? Is there any proof that it is a chemical reaction? Yes, it is a chemical reaction because hydrogen properties are different, oxygen properties are different. Both physical and chemical properties of hydrogen and oxygen are very different, right? And these two are reacting to give rise to a product called water, whose properties are completely different when compared with the properties of hydrogen and oxygen. Generally, hydrogen is a gas and oxygen also a gas. These two are reacting and to give rise to water, which is a liquid. Water is a liquid. So this is an example of a chemical reaction. Now we have to balance the chemical reaction. I told that number of atoms in the reactant side must be equal to the number of atoms in the product side. So we have to make the number of atoms in the reactant side should be equal to number of atoms in the product side. Before balancing a chemical equation, the first step we have to do is what are the reactants and what are the products we have to mention. Then there will be no confusion while balancing a chemical equation. So whenever you are trying to balance a chemical equation, write the reactants and products, all the products and all the reactants. That means reactants and products means what you will write, what are the atoms present in the reactant side and what are the atoms present in the product side will write. Now in the reactant side, here we have hydrogen is there and oxygen is there, and number of the reactants we have to write. Different kinds of elements are present, how many number of different atoms are present also we have to mention. Then only we can able to balance a chemical equation. Now tell me, like, how many hydrogens are there here? 2 hydrogens are there and oxygens also 2 are there, right? Now product side also, see, whatever atoms are present in the reactant side, the same atoms will be present in the product side. So whatever elements you have written, the same elements you write in the product side also, and their number in the product side also you mention. Hydrogen 2 are there and oxygen 1 is there. So I have written the number of atoms in the reactant side and number of atoms in the product side. This is the first stage. You have to balance the equation in this way only, then it doesn't lead to any confusion. Now hydrogen is already balanced, no need to touch that, because in reactant side 2 hydrogens are there and product side also 2 hydrogens are there, right? See, if the same number of atoms are present in the reactant and product side, it's already balanced, no need to touch hydrogen. Oxygen, reactant side there were 2 oxygens and in product side there is only 1 oxygen. So definitely you have to balance this equation. Now, so oxygens 2 are there, so I will put 2 here, right? Because if I put 2 there, the equation is balanced, 2 hydrogens, 2 oxygens are there, but that's a wrong way. While balancing an equation, remember one thing, that you should never change the formula of a compound. Without changing the formula of the compound, you have to balance the equation. If you write 2 here, it's not water now, it's hydrogen peroxide, 2 oxygens are there, but water formula is H2O only. So keep in mind, always keep in mind this one, that is, while balancing a chemical equation, you should never change the formula of the compound. So how can I balance oxygen here? Now, in order to make oxygens 2, I will put a side number 2. Now, oxygens are 2, but if you observe that, if any side number was written near the formula of that substance, that side number will belongs to all the elements present in that compound. That means this 2 belongs to hydrogen and oxygen also. Now oxygen is balanced. Reactant side 2 oxygens are there and product side also we have 2 oxygens. Oxygen has balanced, 2 oxygens are there here. But now observe the number of hydrogens. See, there is a side number and subscript also there. Side number and subscript should be multiplied. Remember this, in a formula, if there is a side number and subscript is there, we should not add them, we have to multiply them. So 2 2s are 4. Now hydrogen number has changed. In the reactant side there were only 2 hydrogens, but in the product side there were 4 hydrogens. So I should balance. This is a trial and error method. Always add numbers according to your reactants and product side atoms. According to that, you have to add numbers. So now here 4 hydrogens are there. Already 2 hydrogens are there. So divide the 4 with 2, you will get 2. So I will put a 2 here, so that now in the reactant side also hydrogens became 4. 2 2s are 4. 4 hydrogens are there. 2 oxygens are there. Now in the product side also we have 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. This is the balanced equation. Remember, after balancing the equation, you just make a box to the chemical equation. If you make a box to the balanced chemical equation, like it will be focused that your balancing of equation is correct. Numbers only they just focus, while correcting numbers only focus. Make a box to that, it highlighted, it gets highlighted, that is it is a balanced chemical equation.